Well, it's the end of the month and the end of the year. I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that. Anyway, so being the end of the month, it's time to talk about a book. And today we're going to have a look at Nigel G. Pearson's book, Treading the Mill. So let's get into that. Okay, Treading the Mill by Nigel G. Pearson. What I'm actually going to do next month is go through the concepts in the book and just discuss them generally. It's going to be a bit difficult to go through all of the content and all of the practices that are actually in there. So what we'll do, we'll have a look at the practices and the techniques, the concepts and things like that, just in general terms. Now, Treading the Mill is about traditional witchcraft and traditional paganism. And I like this book because, firstly, it's just in plain English. It's just straightforward. He explains all the concepts and practices in terms that anybody can understand. It's nothing overly poetic or things like that. And what he does, he goes through each concept and discusses them in depth, and then he gives you examples of working, and he also gives you actual rituals that you can go ahead and do. So it's a bit of a workbook, a bit of a technical book, I suppose, but you can actually take the book and just do an entire traditional witchcraft practice around it. So there is that, which I find, I'm a very logical person. I like to be led from point A to point B and explain why and how I'm getting there and give me the path itself. So when it becomes a bit more cryptic, if you've ever read one of Andrew Chumbley's books, especially one of his grimoires or grimoires, like Azoesha, it's very cryptic. But this is just straightforward, plain English. No buts about it. I just want to read you the list of chapters and the topics that he actually covers in the book. So it's hallowing the compass, one crafting, raising the cup, spell crafting, entering the twilight, spirit working, and approaching the powers. So when I say that he discusses each concept in depth and then gives you actual ritual practice to do. So, for instance, in the first chapter, Hallowing the Compass, he actually discusses the compass itself, the witch's compass. Now, the compass is what we would most likely consider to be the circle. So he discusses the whole construct of the compass. He discusses the tools you use, such as the stang, the wand, the cup, etc., etc. So he discusses them extremely in-depthly, and then he goes on to actually give you working rituals. And with the hallowing the compass, he actually gives you two different ones. One is one way you can actually work individually, and if you can't work outside, you can work it inside, whereas the second one is meant to be worked outside, for instance. So he has taken a lot of things into consideration. There are some practices, rituals, and techniques that are a bit difficult for a lot of people to actually do. For instance, working with the sky spirits, you have to find a spot on top of a hill during a windy night and blah blah blah. For me to try and find a place like that, I'd have to go travelling South Africa, and when I finally find a place, I have to stay there for a while and work it every day. So it can be a bit difficult to find the places that you need to practice some of the techniques and some of the practices, but we'll have a look at those and see if there's possibly any alternatives. So yeah, hallowing the compass, it goes through the compass, it discusses the tools you need, and it actually gives you rituals to do. Wand crafting discusses the wand. It discusses different types of wood, how to actually approach a tree, and how to actually decide what or which branch to cut. You know, the tree will actually tell you how to cut the branch. You know, how to actually treat the tree with proper respect and do it in such a way that it does not damage the tree. You know, discussing things like only using live wood instead of dead wood, because dead wood, the spirits already exited the actual branch, the actual wood. So it discusses dryads or tree spirits. So yeah, again, goes in depth into everything you need to know. It doesn't just say, you know, just cut a branch, shape it this way, and that's your wand. It goes into the actual tree spirits. And when you cut the branch, why you're cutting the branch instead of using green wood or dead wood or whatever it may be. And the reason why is that the spirit of the tree actually transfers, or a portion of the spirit actually transfers into the branch. And then you don't let it touch the ground, for instance, because then it would ground the spirit. So there's all these things in traditional craft that take place that should be followed and practiced in order to do it properly. A lot of people ignore them, and they'll just go find a branch that's fallen off the tree, considering that, well, thinking that the tree has offered the branch to them and it's thrown it off. But no, it's just discarded a limb because it's dead, and the spirit is no longer in that limb. So you know, you have to take all these things into consideration when you are actually practicing traditional witchcraft. So yeah, it goes into the woods, which woods to use, how to cut the wood, how to find the wood, how to cut the branch, and how to actually make the wand. Whether you want to leave the bark on, for instance, or whether you want to strip the bark, the best time to do either one of those. And it discusses the three parts of the wand. You know, it really does go quite in depth, and it goes into how to actually hallow the wand. When we go into raising the cup, which is another very important tool, is the cup. Cup is synonymous with the cauldron. That one actually goes into a lot of recipes to make wine and beers and brandies and things like that. So, and with those wines and brandies, you can make different ones for the different seasons of the year. So it goes through all the recipes. There's an extensive amount of recipes in there for all different types of wines and whatnot. So yeah, it really is a fantastic book. So as I say, I will be discussing or going through it the whole of next month. It may even go into February, I'm not sure. So if you want to get the book, grab that, give it a read, and we'll discuss it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But it'll also give you an opportunity to ask questions that maybe get raised as you're reading the book itself. So anyway, that's it for today and for this year. Fantastic. And I'll see you next year. Have a great new year. Cheers.